You're welcome again to this webinar. Today we're going to be talking about Git, mastering Git. Like I've said, this is is your path to version controlling. This is actually for let's say the beginners and also people that are trying to get a refresh on this course. So like I said, we're going to be talking about a whole lot of Git commands, how this command can be used, and maybe one or two examples, take a look at how to create or use these commands via our Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to be bringing, so I just want to be sure that this is working on the LinkedIn and yes, I think we are live on LinkedIn and YouTube now. So today I have two tech ladies, or yes, very, very strong, powerful ladies that will be joining me. Like this is to show you that tech is not only for the guys, it's actually for the ladies also. Our guest speaker and our moderator will be ladies. So they will be the one talking about all these commands, what are the differences between all these commands and the likes, and how we can actually make use of them. So the first person will be Ochanya, who will be joining us on this call. Ochanya, we cannot see your.
Hi,
Yeah.
Baba.
Can you please introduce yourself? Yeah. Hi. How you doing
I'm very
today?
well. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a privilege to be here on this call. So my name is Ochanya, and I would say I've been in the DevOps space for like some years now. I started actually as an IT support engineer. Then I moved forward. I went into the cloud, and I've been in the cloud for a number of, like, say, 5 years. And it's been an amazing time in the cloud, Azure cloud to be precise. Also, I'm also very familiar with cloud technologies, but Azure is my specialty. So I welcome you here. Thank you for joining us. It's going to be an amazing ride. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. We're here for you. And thank you so much for having me.
Nice, nice, Ochanya. Welcome. Now let's bring in our guest speaker, who will be talking about, majority of these commands. Even when Ochanya, I would like you to also, buttress a point in case you have anything to add at any
Sure, no
point in
problem.
time. All right. So um, our guest speaker is going to introduce herself also, and um, tell us about our journey into the tech world, and also the DevOps world. Now, better please, can we meet you, please? We can't hear you. Is that for me?
No, I can hear her as well.
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, power issues.
But your camera seems to be hiding you. What's happening?
I just had a power outage actually, so yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's just hold on.
So hi, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much, Papa Femi, for having me. It's such a joy to talk to fellow people in tech. My name is Bethel Osahon. Before I go too far, my name is Bethel Osahon, and I am an Azure cloud engineer, and I also do DevOps. If you go into cloud engineering these days, you know that it's somehow integrated to DevOps because everything is becoming automated, right? And currently, I work with GitHub as a premium support expert. And what we do majorly is to help people that use Git, majorly Git and GitHub for their day-to-day activities. So most of my day, I am interacting with GitHub, and other automation tools. And it has been an amazing journey in tech. Starting off as not a tech person and then coming into tech for over 5 years now. I would say I do not have regrets, and it's definitely a joy to be here. Thank you so much.
We don't all regret it. I could remember I got into tech also. It wasn't something I told someone. It was just by mistake, you know. I wasn't even planning to be in tech. I was planning to be a mechanical engineer, you know, and that was all I was thinking about. And here I am. I, you know, found myself in tech. So I think you guys can still hear better even when she might be off camera for a while because of some glitches. So let's start these. Let's deep dive into these. So today we are going to be talking about some Git commands, some basic Git commands, and how to use them. Um, Bethel, so I'm going to start with you. What are some of the basic Git commands that you believe, you know, frequent users, frequent GitHub user or frequent Git user or anyone working with Git repositories should know?
Okay, some of the very basic commands that you are going to be interacting with day to day if you are going to be using Git is first the Git init, and then the Git clone, and then the Git push, Git add, then Git commit, and then Git push. So I'm going to list them in the order that they are being used and what they are used for. First of all, the Git init is used to initialize the directory that you are going to be working with. So, for example, you have not cloned a repository, or you've just created a simple folder in your on your desktop, and you want to make it a Git repository. So the first thing you need to do is to initialize that repository by running the git init command. This would automatically make it a Git repository. And after you have done your initialization, then you proceed to add whatever you want to add, create your files, make your changes, do all the necessary stuff that you need to do. After making all those changes, for example, you have created a file, you have added something to that file. All of those are different commands entirely for creating files, and those are basic bash commands. So after you've created all these files and everything you want to add to it, you need to add it. So if you don't do the git add, it's not going to add it to your repository. It's just going to be as if you just typed in that folder. So after you've done everything you need to do, the next thing is to do the git add. The git add is going to add what you've just added to that folder, now a repository, to it. Now, there are different ways to add. If you want to add just one file, you can just do git add with the name of that file. But if you want everything that you've done to be added, you just do a git add and then the full stop, that's a dot, and it will add everything that you have done. Now, you might have been working and have lost track of what you've been doing, and you want to know, okay, where am I at? What am I doing? That's where the git status comes in. When you run the git status command, it shows you where you're at, what you are doing, and what you're supposed to do next. So if you've not added, you see suggestions to add, and if you've already added, you see suggestions on how to um, commit and make other changes. Please give me a minute.
All right. Thank you for that. Achan, you want to summarize, you know, maybe based on the categories, based on some of the commands Bethel has actually talked about. We should have like, you know, like a category for each. Maybe for saving commands, for saving files and folders, you know, we want to save files to, or let's say if you want to at least maybe there are some git commands that basically work with branching, you know, and there are some maybe that works with saving command. Like, you know, she was talking about the add, the commit. That's when you want to save your files, you know, to your repository. So you use the add, then you commit it. You know, when we want to initialize something like that, do we have like categories,
Yes,
you know, based on command?
yes, we actually have categories. So for beginners, I would just give us three categories of four categories basically. So we have the categories of commands that we use to set up our repository from start, and then we have categories of command that we use to save the changes that we have made and all those different things that we've done in that repository. And then we have categories that we use to synchronize these changes so that it will synchronize with the remote repository that we have. And then we have the categories of commands that we use to work and then to for branches. Now, for the categories we use for the one we use to set up our repositories, we have that's the git init, then the git clone, and then git config. Those are the basic commands you use to set up. That's when you're starting. The git init is basically to initialize, like I said. Then the git clone is if you have a remote repository. When I say remote repository, you have your repository somewhere that's being hosted, like platforms like GitHub or Azure Repos or anywhere you have your repository there, and you want to bring it to your local machine so that you can work on it. So that's what you use your Git clone for. And then the Git config. The Git config basically tells you if you want to have details of okay who has been working in this repository, has people working, you want to know. The Git config lets you know those that have worked on it with their email addresses and details. Then that's the category for setting up your repository. Then we have a category that helps you to save the changes that you've made so far on your repository, and that's the git commit and the git add. Initially, like I said, git add is just to add what you've done, and the git commit helps you to commit those changes and make them ready for a push. And then we have the commands that we use to synchronize your files. You want them to be synced to the remote repository. We have commands such as the git fetch, the git pull, and then the git push. So the git fetch is basically to help you fetch files or fetch whatever um, data or info you want to get from the remote repository. You can just do a git fetch, put the file name or the branch name or anything you want to fetch. It basically just does that. Then we have the git pull. The git pull also fetches, but it goes ahead to merge it with what you already have in your local repository where you are fetching to. So if you do a git pull and then you specify what you want to pull and then you specify the remote origin, when it pulls it, it's also going to merge it. So that's the difference between fetch and pull. Fetch just fetches, doesn't make any changes, but pull fetches it and then merges it. Then we have the git push. This is what you would use to push all the changes that you've made. And then the last category is the one you use for working in branches. Now, most people that use GitHub and other
Okay, better. In addition to, before you go further to the branches, in addition to the commands, I think some of the basic command that you just listed. So I think there's a git status, right? So I don't know if that one falls in the third
Yeah.
category or does it fall in the third category?
the git status, I would say it falls in the
Second category.
third category actually,
Third, oh, okay.
or maybe working. Yes, third category. That's syncing.
Yeah, for tracking,
Yeah,
yeah.
so for tracking changes,
Okay.
so you need to know which directory you're working on at, at every point in time. So git status will just help you check, okay, am I in the right directory? Am I doing the right thing? Right, better? Yeah, the
Yes.
experts in that. So
So adding to what
All
okay.
right. So, better, let me cut you short there so that at least let's start showing them some of the commands we've, been talking about since. Yes, from my understanding, from what you have said, when we want to start, with our repository, maybe when I started Git DevOps, I I think okay, when I create a folder, maybe that folder is actually a Git folder already. Because the same way when you download a repository, it's just a folder,
Folder,
mhm.
right?
yes. Right.
So now you've actually explained that that's just a folder that has been created. It's nothing to do with Git repository until you
Mhm.
initialize it, right?
Correct.
So let's go ahead. Let's create maybe a folder, and let's see the difference when we run, you know, this git init, and so let's call these git, um, yes, sorry, uh, yes. So I'll cd into that git webinar, and let's see, yeah. So this is it. The folder has been created. So let me see if I can share. Let's see, where's the folder? I just want to at least share that folder, and let's see what will be happening inside that particular folder as we run those commands. Um, so we have users, sorry. So I created a folder here. Yes, the Git webinar. Okay, so I think like you said, the folder is actually empty.
Yes, and it's just
Now,
right now. It's not.
okay,
There's nothing inside.
so the first thing I need to do now is to run my git init, right?
Initializing Git.
So, all right. So it's actually initialize, a what does it saying? It initialize an empty folder. So this has actually turned this
So
to, a git command, a git repository, as you have said. Now, the question will be, when I clone from a remote repository, do I still need to initialize that, that repository, or it has been initialized, already, something like that. You get what I'm saying? Do I need to still initialize it, or it has been initialized just because it's a Git repository
Because
already?
it's a Git repository already, I guess it has been initialized.
yes, it's already a
Right.
repository.
So
Like
Okay. So I can
go
just
ahead
start
and
adding
yes.
files and folders to it
mhm,
and start committing it. Okay. Now let's create some files since we've actually, initialized our folder. Let's create some files in there, and let's see how, some of these commands, works, like the git add, like, the git commit at one point, or the git branch and the git status you mentioned. So let me create this. So I'm just going to echo, this is our first file. Now like let's have something
Yep.
like that. First dot
TXT.
txt. Yeah. So that file has been added. So the first thing we need to do here, should we run, our git status to see what's happening in there, or do I just continue,
So
is it added to any branch, or
automatically
what's happening?
automatically is going to be in the master branch, because I mean you've not created any branch while doing this. It's just going to be in the master branch. So you can go ahead and create a new branch or continue with the master branch. But automatically.
So that means, from my understanding now, that means that when I've initialized my folder, that means a master branch has been created for me because I initialized it.
True.
exactly. And
Nice.
it usually comes with the name main. So if you are to check this repository, if you have to push it and all of that, check, you see that you have a branch called main. So you're wondering, when did
So
I create?
if we do git status, okay, git branch, and let's check. No, that is git branch.
Are you Do
Are
you
you
want
trying
to
to check
create
the branch?
a branch, or you want to
Yes.
create branch? You have to add a name. Create branch.
No, no,
No,
no.
no.
I think it
You want
should
to check the current
it should
working
be,
directory where you are right now, right?
yes,
Okay, why
yes.
don't you do a
You
git
just
status first? Let's see
we've
where we
already
are.
So I've run a git status. So git status has actually shown, the test in there.
Okay.
the file in there, which is the file.txt. So let's say I want to even check the branch that has been created. So that is what I'm trying to do.
Oh, okay. So
Since you've not created any branches, if you do a Git branch now, it won't
it
output
will show you
anything
any branch, yeah.
because you
Okay,
created any.
so that means if I want to create a branch and maybe add that particular, file or commit to the branch. So what's the command I need to run?
To create a branch, Git branch and
Yeah.
a name.
The name.
Okay. Okay. So let's say before I even create this name, when working with the Git branch, is there any naming convention we need to follow, or we can just start creating branches? Maybe we want to create or work on a new feature now. Like let's say we are working on a website where we have the front end working and the back end working. Now we're trying to introduce maybe Azure B2C for authentication purposes. And that's a feature, for authentication, you know. So what are some of the naming convention that you feel I should follow? I've seen people just create branch, maybe Git branch and add B2C. Does that really make sense? Or should we always have our branch maybe created within a particular folder, like user slash the feature you're working on, or user slash Babafemi, then slash whatever you're working on, or features slash authentication, slash B2C, just within that folder? Which one do you feel, make more sense?
Okay. So for organizations, most organizations they have their naming conventions and how they name different branches. It's best practice to name a branch based on who is going to be working with that branch. What I mean is, if this branch is going to be worked on by develop,
So I can say users, right?
yeah, yeah,
Babafemi,
or what you do, like
then maybe
once,
B2C,
like, okay,
So depending on what you're
something
working
like
on
that.
and the organization policy, what they want you to do. So there
Okay.
could be naming conventions, different kinds of, different types of what they want you to do.
um,
That's no,
no,
that's Git branch.
it's not, it's not. I
Are you
think the
trying?
forward slashes you're adding and all that. You can
No,
use
no, no, no,
another
yeah.
score or something.
No, I think it should work. Hold on. It should work. So you are trying to put it in the folder.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Fatal.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm running a new branch, how do I now create this if that is the
So
case? Hold on. So
okay. So
yes, better, please go ahead.
the branch is not, it's not accepting all these forward slashes and all that. It's making it look
Yeah.
like a file path. Okay. So it's best practice you just use either an underscore or yes or hyphen when creating your branches. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that then. Still not
Not a
taking it.
valid object name master.
Yeah.
What's
So let's do
mm-hmm,
something. I'm going to check why that's not
mm-hmm,
working.
because it's supposed to.
I'm going to check users. Hold on. I'm going to try something here because this should work. I'm just going to try something here. Yeah.
Okay, something is definitely
Something is wrong. Yeah.
So the name
Okay,
of the
let me do
branch
something.
slash the name of the user slash what you're working on.
Yeah.
So we can do a git slash. No, go ahead.
Git
Git
checkout.
checkout, yes. Hyphen B.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then the name of the brand, the name of the user slash the what you're working on, maybe slash authentication or
Yeah, let me just do this. I want to be sure. I want to be sure of something. Yeah.
So
Why was it not creating the other time?
so
because okay, go
no,
on.
go ahead.
So I
We didn't
was
check
like,
out.
All right.
checkout is changing to a
Go ahead.
branch. You want to move from master to another.
Yes. So that would be my next question. But what I wanted to ask is, let me do something. Hold on. I'm going to come back to that.
This
I'm going to come back to that.
okay.
So why is it not creating, not valid object name? So, but we can come back to that. So if I'm creating a branch
Mm-hmm.
and I'm doing a checkout, you said something about, the checkout. So is there a difference between a checkout and just creating a branch?
Yes. So the command branch helps you to just create your branch and all that. But checkout would help you to switch to a particular branch. And if you do a checkout with a name that doesn't exist, it's going to create the branch and checkout, going to create that branch and then move you to that branch.
So that's being said, does that mean that at least I can create a branch from another branch and
Yes,
check out from that
Yes.
branch, without any.
yes, you can create
Okay,
another branch
so
off the branch and check out. So we can even try
so
now. We can now where are we now? We're in Babafemi
yeah, we have
switch.
switched.
So we
Yeah,
can
you have
we
switched
can
to
easily switch
Buafe.
back to the main branch, git checkout,
Okay,
then the
I think
name
it's
of the
the
branch,
master. So git checkout. Okay, then git checkout
then the name of the branch. Yeah, check.
master. I think it's the master.
Okay, main or master.
Was it master? I think it
Uh,
is the main.
It's main.
Do you have main?
So I think automatically it creates a branch for you either called main or master.
Main did not.
Yeah. So something is wrong though.
Okay.
Uh, hold on. So this thing is not listing anything, and at least it should be
List the
listing
of
whatever I'm
branches that you
typing here.
have.
Yeah.
You need to maybe update something. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead with, at least we are in one of the branch and we can just go ahead with what
Or
we
you can
do.
do a git branch.
So I'm
Yes.
going to
Did you do a
create.
git branch before?
Yes, this is the
And
git
it's not
branch
listing
already.
out the branches we have.
It's not listing out the branches. Yeah. So when we do a git branch, automatically at least it should list out the
Mhm.
branch. And when you want to create a branch, when you do the git branch, the name of the branch, it should create. So I feel
How
Something
maybe,
is wrong from
hold
the
on,
beginning.
something is wrong, because why I said something is wrong is when I initialized this particular folder,
There's no
we should have something like
dot
the
git.
git, yeah,
Yeah.
that initialized it.
the
Yeah. So let's hold on. Let's do something. Let me go back to maybe from where I'm doing this. I'm just going to open, a new folder and name this git test one or something like that. Yep. Let's start this again. Because I'm sure we should have something like it. Okay.
okay.
Let's hold on. So I'm going to go back to the git test. Now, if I do a git
Mm-hmm.
init, initialize an empty folder,
Uh-huh. Supposed to.
then yeah, it's supposed to give me that particular. Okay, so we do. Let me add. I'm just going to um, do this one. So this is not listing. So hold on. Let's see if it will work fine in the code. This is not working as
Or
expected.
do a git branch hyphen a. So it's supposed to list all the branches in the local and in the remote branches. So let's see if
Yeah, so even at that, so currently we do not, so it's not listing. So we can
Can we
just, I don't know what's going on, but
it's
we can just continue. So we don't have to, wait,
can we
So yeah, yes, I'm with you,
no
better.
no I was going to say can we do a git status to see what if we even
So
need
nothing is, no, nothing is in here already. So we don't have anything. So,
okay.
so on branch master, yeah, this is telling us branch master now. Now let's start by adding files. Then from there, let's save it and run the other. So let's just create a new branch now and switch to the branch. So let's say git
Check out.
check out
um, checkout,
hyphen.
then the B flag. Then let's see if that particular using the feature, and let's say B2C or let's say authentication. Let's see if this will work now because this should create like a folder for me within that particular.
Does work.
Yeah.
And
Did it work?
So that's the yes,
did it
that worked.
oh,
So
yeah.
it's yeah, that switched to the branch folder now, which is so if we
Git
do
branch.
um yeah, I will come back to since the grid branch is not
Okay.
working. So we are actually on the
Branch.
feature branch now, which is the authentication branch. Now let's start adding files into this and let's see how we can actually track. So why, or let me say this is the question. Why can't I just start adding files to the master branch? Is there a reason for that? Just start adding and
Okay, so
pushing it from.
if you work in an organization, you can't just add files into the master branch just like that, right? Because I mean that's where the code, that's what they're placed. So you need to find out if you're authorized to start adding branches, but they're never going to give you that kind of authorization. So it's always best practice to have your own branch, then do over into doing your own branch before merging to the master branch.
And merge back to the master. So let me start by adding the files. I think this thing is a little bit
Small, yes, it's better now.
okay. Now, so I can start by adding files. Let's do an echo and just going to do first file.
And they can also just do a git add, then the name of the file.
Okay. So first file. Oh yeah, sure. Then we can do
Name of the file.
the name of the
Our
file. Let's
first.
say first dot txt. Okay, so that
Has
file
been
is added now. So if I do a git status now, let's see. Um, so this is saying not committed. It's still showing going file untracked. Is there a reason for this? Even when at least I've added it to the folder. Is there anything I need to do to be able to get this, files into my repository?
Yes. So you just type this into your folder. You haven't added it yet. It's not.
So
If
git
you try,
add,
we are
So
going
I
then
to.
need
Okay.
no, go ahead.
go ahead, please.
Then
Better.
so after you have to run the git add first. After adding that, you
Okay.
commit. When you add it, you see that it will be tracked, and then when you do a status, you see that okay, this file has been added but has not committed yet. And then you're
Okay.
okay.
So if I do a git add
Then
now,
yeah, there's space.
because it's just one file, do I need to still put the dot in front?
Not
Um,
necessarily. You can
not
put it and decide to just
mm,
put the name. Peradventure, you forgot.
Okay. So that means if I don't put the dot, I need to at least
Put a commit
now
message.
put the name of the file,
Yeah,
put the name of the file that I want to
fine. Yes.
add, since I'm not adding all the folder, all the files. Okay, that's that. Okay, let's do a git status again and see what has
It should
happened.
be in
So
there
it has
now.
been added.
So this has been
Mm-hmm.
added. Does this mean that if I push this now,
No,
my master branch will
no.
see it? So what do I need to still do
You
then?
do a git
Because
commit.
it's green already. The file has been staged.
So, but you need to commit it. You need to let Git know that yes, there's something.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay. So I do a git commit.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any
you need to add it.
best
Yeah.
practice, best practice? Why do I need to add a message?
It's
So
all,
you add a message so that it tells whoever is going through that directory what happened at every stages of these commits that you made. And it's also best practice not to just put, so I've seen some very weird commit messages like file, this file, or I saw a commit message that said if this doesn't kill me.
it will make you stronger.
And all of, so that's not, it's not really great. You are going to appreciate your commit messages later if
Mm-hmm.
over the years, because when you read through, okay, I made changes to this file, added this file, make sure to add the names, specify what you are doing. Helps
So
to,
so based on what you said now, I can just have something like,
Our
I
first
don't know
commit.
if
Our
this
first commit.
something like, what about adding something like added post file, you know, post.txt.
perfect.
Does that make any
Yeah.
Yes.
sense?
So whoever is going through your
So
repository would know, it's as if they are being carried along. It makes it
okay,
look neat.
A stranger, someone can just go through it and know what you've done all the way, without being confused or without being lost. It's like a documentation,
nice,
you know.
nice. Okay, so I'll just go ahead to add that. So one file has been changed. If I do a git status, is that let's see. Oh, so that file is so aside this git status, you know, do we have maybe any other command, that we can use maybe for tracking any of our file,
Yeah.
or what's going on in, we've committed now, we cannot even see what we have been committed. Do we have any git, China, I'm going to ask you, so I'm going to direct this
Yeah, we
question
have
to
Git
you.
log.
Is it,
So
oh, okay. So that will, let's see what that will do, you know.
Yeah, it's going to give you
it's
the
going to display like a history.
Oh,
all the comments that have been made.
Mm-hmm.
This is your comment history.
oh, and the good thing is it comes with a commit ID.
Yeah.
So I think this one, let's say you want to do, a revert, a git revert, a git clean, you can point directly to that commit and,
Yes.
revert it. Does make sense. Now, moving away from, the initializing, we've talked about the git init, the git clone. Now, before we even move away, when we do the git clone, now we are trying to clone a remote repository,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you said. Okay, so if I do a git clone, so I need to
The
find
repository.
the repository I
Oh,
want to. So let me see. Do you have? Let's see. Let me just look for one repo that is.
A simple, easy peasy repo. Okay.
Okay, Git. I'm trying to find a repo I can
oh,
clone
okay. Do you need
in.
help getting a repo you
Yeah.
can easily clone?
Yes, I think I'm logged into my
Mm.
GitHub environment now. So just hold on. All right. So if I go to my GitHub environment and okay, so what I have is I'm going to what I'm going to do. I don't want to clone it on this same this same folder or this same repository that we've actually initialized already. Let me just create a new folder, and from there, you know, I'm going to make a new folder. So let's say cloned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cloned. All right, that has been created, and let me cd into the clone. All right. So I'm sure the git clone command should be git clone
In the URL. Yeah.
and the URL, right? So this makes sense. I can go ahead to run this,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh, nice. So this has actually cloned from. If I do a git log, am I going to see, all the commit that have been made, on this particular repository in the past? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's done. All right, let's move away and let's talk about some of the commands you spoke about the other time. Now, we've done git init, initializing, same way we have a git clone. I believe this clone, when we do a git clone, there's still a connection between the repo. Just what I believe, I want to ask, a question. Is there actually a connection between, the repo I cloned from and my local repository? First source, when I do like a fork, when I fork a repository, I know there is still a connection. You can still at least push back to that initial repository. Do you still have, like a connection, or this is a separate repository on its own?
There's still a
It's
connection.
actually a separate repository.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
You just
So
you just
Okay, so you
cloned
just
it
cloned it
from.
to your own. Oh, okay.
clone it to my own local account.
Local rep, yeah.
Okay.
Repo.
So now for the fork, we still have a
A
connection, I guess.
connection. Yeah.
That's fine. Now let's now
For
move away from that. Now let's go to, I've heard interview questions, asking about the difference between the git pull, the git fetch, the git push. What are the differences? Um, Better. What are the differences between these three git command when we do a git fetch, because we're still fetching from the remote repository, and also when we do a git pull, what is the difference between these two? Let's even start with that.
so the git fetch is just like you are calling a file from the remote repository. You've already been working on your repo and all of that. You've made changes. When you do a git fetch, it's not it's not going to merge it. It's not going to add anything up, right? But the git pull, when you pull it, it merges what you have. It merges it with what you have locally. So that's
Okay,
the main difference. Okay.
okay. So, China,
Mm-hmm.
based on what Better has said, I think it's safe to actually do a git fetch just to check whatever needs to be made to the local as
Yeah, so
against the git pull.
yeah, because I mean it retrieves the latest changes. Any other commit that has been made, it shows you what has been done so far. But it doesn't apply, it doesn't do anything. It just shows you what you need to know. The
Yes.
latest changes, commit, the branches, I mean from the repository you're currently working on.
That's
If you
fine.
do a
So,
git,
but
no, go ahead.
that's a git fetch,
A
right?
git fetch, yes. It retrieves the latest changes made in the repository.
So when I do a git pull, that means it will
You You are pulling
Fetch okay, you will fetch it and merge it to my local.
to the local repository, yes, and the branch.
So I would say it's safe for me to at least, just do a git fetch first, see
First.
whatever
Mm-hmm.
needs to be added. And
What's missing? Yeah.
so, what about the git push? Yes, we've done git fetch, we've done git pull. At what point do we, do a git push?
So okay, so
Yeah.
the git pull or git push.
The git
Push.
push.
Okay, so that particular command is used to upload to your local repository all the things you've added so far. So you're
Yeah.
pushing
Back
it
to
to your remote state.
Like
Yeah,
it's like your final step
yeah.
where
So
you
you're pushing to your
finally
remote
push
state.
without errors and you're able to break down. I've been able to finally push my changes.
So others
And
can see those changes you've pushed to your remote state.
okay. So let's now recap all these basic. Maybe we'll talk about them more. So we started with the creating a Git repository, and the first one is for us to at least create using Git init, like you said, right? I'm not running
mhm,
Mhm.
it. I'm just going to be listening. So a Git init initializes the repository,
Repository.
creates the main branch, make sure that that particular folder is now turned to a Git repo, which is, I believe that is what that is doing. Now, same thing like you've actually explained, the Git clone. This also, is an initialized repository on its own, and it does not only initialize, our folder, it copies or clone the old repository to the local, but there is no connection between, the remote. So anything you do, you still need to push it back, and the likes. Now, um, moving away from that, I forgot to talk about, let's say we start pushing these. We The only thing we are saying is when we did a Git status, sorry, a Git log. When it did a Git log, you can see my name here and my my
email.
email address. So what command, or let's say what Git feature um, can we use to at least achieve this? And what's the reason why I want to set my name and my email address in there?
That's the git config command. You can use the git config command to set your username. You can also use it
Okay.
to set your email address. And one thing about the git command is if you want to video, if you don't want to have to keep doing that all the time, you can just make it universal. Like running the git command, make it global rather, and
Okay.
put your username, and it will save it for you. You
So
can also do that
so
for
if
your.
I do a Git user dot let's say user dot email,
Mhm.
so that means I would see the email that has been set up on here.
Mhm.
Yes,
So then that should be the same for the name, right? So
yes,
if
for
I
username.
say okay, so okay, that's that. Now you talked about using different flags to set this up. I understand that yes, we have three different flags when it comes to using the Git config. We have the local flag, we have the global flag and the system flag. So now you talked about the fact that if we use, let's say we have a Git config um, local, Git config.
System.
Let's just do the global. Now the local, from my understanding, you can correct me. You are the expert here. If I do this, this only applies to the current repository I'm working with, right?
Right. It only applies to what you're working with at that time.
at that time?
Um, yes.
Okay. So what if I do a git config with the flag system? So,
It's
okay.
on. It's going to save that configuration for your system. It's not going to be
So,
global.
so regardless of the user that is actually using the system, all
Yes.
it covers all the users within that particular
That
system, right?
system.
What
That's
about Nice. What about the global? So the global, from my understanding, as you've explained, that applies only to my user, profile. However, regardless of the repository I'm working on or working with, that's going to be applied to, all the repository I'm working with, right?
yes. It saves. It's like saving your credentials for every repository that you're going to be using. The username and email. It's like saving it so you don't have to set it every time you want to work on any other repository.
So let's say we want to set this up. Fortunately, I have it set up already. So we
Mm.
have git config, the global flag. Then we should
We
have something like, user dot email, then the email address, right? Or user dot
name.
name, then the email address. Yes. I think this is the first thing, that needs to be done after you've actually initialized, your folder, because you always want to see who is actually making the comment, who is actually, adding files. You just don't want to leave it out open-ended. At least you want to track. And that's why, when you make use of GitHub, when you make use of Azure repos, Atlassian
Mhm.
Bitbucket, and like, your name is there because you've configured your username and email already. But let's say you're working with local repository. I believe this is one of the things you need to is to before you go ahead. That's fine. Now, moving away from that, we've talked about the Git, the Git init, the Git um, um, clone. Now, we talked about adding. So let's say I have, I'm going to go back to, no, let's even have, so if I do echo and I say, let's call, let's call this one second.txt, and I do another, and I call this third, third.txt. I just want to see,
Yeah.
how the git add works, if I'm adding more than one file.
Yeah, you can add more than.
Oh, I still have it as second. What's going on?
Yeah, I think autocorrect.
Okay, so if I do a git status
Uh,
now, I should have on track files. Okay. Um,
Showing you a folder.
yeah, it's showing me a folder. Yeah, it's showing me a folder because um this folder I might not want to, track it there. I might not want to do the commit because you know I created this folder within another Git folder.
Another
Yeah,
folder.
which is why it's showing you this folder. So, like you said, I just want to show this. So if I do git add, that means I just need to put a space and put a dot, right?
Correct. It will add everything that you've done all together. All the
Then
changes.
from then I can now do a git commit once this done. So if I'm adding just one file and I'm adding multiple files, am I going to use the same commit, commit command that I used to add one file? Or because we have multiple files, do I need to, add something like a dot at the back also? Or this is just the way, the normal commit, git commit, hyphen M, then the message. The same thing, right?
Wait, if you are adding or you are committing, which is it?
So when I'm committing.
If
So
you are
let's say
going to
I've added. So the question is, I've added multiple files now.
Already.
The other time we did a multiple, just a single file. So is there, do I need to change the commit command maybe to something like, do we have something like dots in there, or
No,
it's just the same way you have
the
added just
same.
one file? Oh, okay.
Just
So
add
it's
the that you need to add. Yeah.
all right. So I think that's, so you can just do a recap now, and if we have any questions, we can take it up from there.
Okay, so before
Just
the
a,
master, before
yeah,
before the pro would continue, so I was going to emphasize the Git fetch before you go ahead to push everything you've done on your remote to your on your local to your remote state. Please always make sure you do a Git fetch. Always make sure you go through what you have done. That's the importance of using the Git fetch. It's very useful for inspecting changes you've made, changes that has been done before you go ahead and merge. So always make sure you make use of your Git fetch,
Okay.
right? So you can go ahead, Bethel.
Thank you, Ochi, for that. I was going to mention something like that. So, guys, that's basically it. Those are the basic commands for Git. It's really it's not something that is out of reach. When you keep practicing, it's easy to go through with it. Just remember the first four basic commands and you're good to go. Git init, that's initialize, do what you need to do, then your git
better.
add.
I can hear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can
Yes,
you
I
hear
can
me,
hear you
right?
now.
Mm.
Sorry, where did you
Yes,
lost me, please? I
The basic commands: git
Yeah,
init,
you have to do the
start.
git init, git add. If you're adding a single, if you're making just adding a single file or just what you've done, you specify what you're adding. If you want to add everything, put the dots and it's going to add everything up for you. Then you commit. One thing that I noticed, especially when I started using Git, was sometimes we forget to add the message. If you
I'm
forget,
guilty.
yes, if you forget to add the message, it's going to send you to a Vim or a VI editor. And when you are there, I remember when I nearly started using Git, that was always a rabbit hole for me. I get stuck there looking for how to get out of it. So make sure you add the message so you don't get sent to a Vim editor and then you're wondering, how did I get here? Why is it showing me all of this and how do I leave? So make sure you add a commit message, put the M flag, put your string, and then specify the message. And also make sure that your commit message talks about what you're doing. Don't put a random message. Don't put XOXO, XXX. Please put a specific message on your commit and then the git push. And if you are trying to push is not going through, you pull it so it merges whatever changes you've made, that's and then you try to push again, it's going to go through. Then remember the branching.
So someone
If
has a question. Sorry to cut you
check
short.
with.
oh sorry, please go
Yeah.
on.
So from
Can you guys hear
Ogbebo,
me?
Yeah,
yeah,
we can
we
hear
can hear
you.
you.
I think
So
I
there's a
lost
message
them.
from Ogbebo. When do I do a git rebase?
Hello.
Better. So there's a message from Ogbebo. When do I do a git rebase? He wants to know when to do a git rebase. I think that's for advanced class, but you can go
Yes,
ahead and just
yeah, yeah,
explain.
yeah. I can. So you do a git rebase basically to integrate the changes from one branch to another. So you've made this change in this branch and then you want it to um correlate with another branch because it's because we are working locally and just also it doesn't look like a big deal. In organizations, working in branches is a very, very big deal. And if you are going to be if for example we have a master branch, let's say Baba Femi is the master branch, I and Ochanya were like the branches.
Yeah.
If I want what I have to be same as what Ochanya has, then I'll do it with this and then it does that branch synchronization for me. So that's the basic use of Git rebase. But that's for advanced classes. This is a beginner class. People that are just starting to use Git and getting to know the basic commands. So if you can
So
let your questions come
someone
in
is
if I have
asking,
anything out.
yeah, someone is asking, when do you need to revert some changes?
You personally, you know when you need to revert on changes. Proverb, um, peradventure you've made a change and it doesn't. Funny thing, I've seen um some customers raise ticket for that. Oh, I just made this error. I really did not want to make this change. I don't want. So, even if you've already committed that change, when you do your revert, it's going to help you revert that change.
Yeah, true.
So like you said, I know, there are different commands when it comes to reverting your changes, depending on at what point did you want to revert. This is more of the advanced side, So you can use the git clean to revert your change. That's only when the file has not been committed, or let's say has not even be is actually still on track. So that is when it has not been added. It just been added, it has not been committed. So it's still on track, then you want to revert your change. Now, if you do the git reset, even when you've committed it, you do a git reset. This git reset comes with different flags. We have the soft, we have the hard. When you do the hard, this is going to clean, whatever has been committed and revert it back to the last commit.
The previous.
Yeah, then you can use the git remove or even the git revert, depending on what stage
What
are you at
is
that particular time. Yeah.
action
So
you've
you
already
want to use the git clean, the git revert, the git reset, or even the git remove, which comes with the git rm, or so you can point the file you want to revert, or you want to, if you use the git reset, you want to point it to the particular commit and reset back to the commit. Okay.
Someone said you can still revert after commit to a
Yes, you
different
can revert
version, I
after. Yes,
believe.
yes, you can
yes.
actually revert after commit. Yeah. All right. So I think that brings us to the end of this webinar. I really want to appreciate you, ladies, for joining. At least this shows that a lot of ladies are actually involved when it comes to DevOps using these gates. Sometimes it looks like it's just the guy thing,
It's not.
when you see a lot of developers, a lot of DevOps engineers doing, the DevOps. So yeah, this is it, and this is what I keep telling a lot of ladies trying to come. Majority of these ladies I meet, and they say, yeah, we just want to be doing, putting files into, or let's say data in Excel. We don't want to go to that, part. I so this is just to show them there are a lot of things that can be done by ladies, not just the guys. And one good thing is when you are in contention with a lady, maybe for a job, and the lady can even do 75% of what you can do. I think as a guy, you've lost the job, So because there are a lot of ladies coming into that space at this time. All right. Ochanya, I really want to appreciate you. At least this was a last minute call, even better. It was a last minute call. Um, I just had to say, yes, you guys just need to be on this webinar. Really appreciate you ladies for joining. And maybe the next one I will be inviting you guys to will be more, maybe
Mm,
planned, invited months before even the
Before. It's
program.
fine. Thank you so much for having me.
thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
All
Mhm.
right.
I did
Thank you,
have fun.
guys. Yeah. So this is where we will be ending this. And thank you guys for joining. We really appreciate you guys. Bye.